So the laptop recruiter question is this, and I call it the laptop recruiter for the following reason. We've been doing this now for many, many years, over a decade, I believe. And originally, one of the branding that I used was the laptop recruiter to demonstrate that a seven-figure business can be created from your laptop, not needing an office or the overheads, etc. So what is it? Well, what used to work no longer works in recruitment search. So the 5 signals that I have seen myself of successful recruitment search businesses, and also those close to failing, all leaving serious fees on the table, are the following. So let me bring up my iPad. Here we go. So you all have this. So if we come down, and let's just get a piece of blank paper first of all. Let's do this. There we go. So you may relate to this in quite an acute way. So the first thing is this. If you're in your recruitment search business now and you're finding that you may be stagnant at a certain number, so maybe 250k, maybe 750k, whatever the number's been across the last few years, there's a reason why this is happening. And there's a reason why we keep repeating these same actions. So there are 5 shifts we need to make today and implement into your business. First is this. In your business right now, you are probably running things manually in a lot of ways. So for example, when you are in a place you're in client getting mode. So when you get clients, so I did a call with a member just the other day and we went through his previous ways of getting clients. And when we broke it down, there was relations with investors, there was referrals, there was networking, there was events, there was cold calling, there was NPCs. Then we put a percentage next to each one, so how many of his clients came in from each. And then we put a number, so how many clients he actually got from each activity. But they were all manual. And he couldn't see the wood for the trees. So what we want to do is use one strategy to bring the clients in. The first strategy, one automated strategy. So you may be doing things manually. So when you're in client getting mode, you're out there doing maybe LinkedIn messages, maybe you're picking up the phone, but you're doing things yourself, you're doing it manually. So that means either it's something you own, you do, or it's something that you repeat over and over again, but it's something that you do. Next, one of the things we want to get a real understanding of and be transparent with ourselves is in your business, if you've plateaued at a certain level, why is that? Why have you done that? Why have you plateaued? And the reason is because you're probably in the business spinning plates. And that's because really what you've got is a hopefully well-paid job. It's not being run as a business owner. Next, when you reach out to your clients or your candidates, it's done in a one-to-one manner. So let's say you've got a role. And when that role has been signed, hopefully you've got T&C signed, what's happening is you're reaching out to candidates one at a time. Then you're doing a selection process one at a time. And all of this is done in a one-to-one manner. What that means is we're repeating the same activity over and over again, but we don't know whether that candidate is a true A player or maybe a B player. So we don't know that until we actually engage with them one-to-one, which is taking up your time. So you haven't got a filtering process. You haven't got filtering for the AAAs, whether it be clients or candidates. Next, your business probably goes through an up and down feast and famine approach. And what I mean by that is you might be in, right, this next 4 weeks, I need to get clients in. So the next 4 weeks, you're focused on getting clients. Then you get a roll in. Then, right, I need to get the candidate. So while you get the candidate, you're not getting the client, which means the client pipeline is starting to slow down. When in fact, they should both happen equally at the same time. So you've always got leads coming in and they're always being filled. Now that might sound like a grandiose or unreal picture right now, but that is a norm for us. The next, hate to use this phrase, but it's exactly what goes on. You're working in the business, which means you're doing a lot of the doing, but more importantly, you're not being strategic. So we want to shift to being strategic. And part of being strategic is what we say no to. So for example, let's say that you're in, this member I spoke to, so they're in the VC investment space. They deal with Series B funding. Series B funding is their ideal client, and it's in the tech space, and there are 4 predominant countries. Then, before they came to us, they were then looking at maybe we go into the food industry as well, because what was happening in their current niche is they weren't getting the results. So they then started to get active in the food industry. Then a few things started to come in. So they're then looking for roles and looking for candidates in tech in 4 countries, looking for the same in 4, I think it might be 5 countries in the food space. So now what they've got is a mess. So they're not going to grow. They're just firefighting, spinning plates, doing it one-to-one. Being strategic is what you say no to. What you say no to. But you can only do that once you've got the true systems in place. So going from feast and famine up and down, you want predictability. But predictability only happens when you've got leads coming in daily and you've got candidates coming in daily. And guess what? You shouldn't be doing this. Yes, you might be the person who actually interviews the candidate, or you might be the person who actually closes the client. But before that, there are a number of steps which you know. We've got this whole funnel going on. And you might be down here, but not up here. So we want that feast and famine to turn into predictability. Then rather than one-to-one, so you're treating every prospect the same, every candidate the same, we want a one-to-many approach, which effectively means the following. Let's say you get a role in from a client, and then we know there's 543 candidates who fit that role in the market. Then we know you've got 502 of them inside your ecosystem, your database. Then what we can do is we can then filter down further into maybe the top 100. And then we have a one-to-many campaign. And the response rate is usually between 50 and 80% for that, by the way. So then what happens is we've got a whole set of candidates coming in, and it's one-to-many. We've already filtered the first set, but then we can start filtering down again. So it's not done one-to-one. This means you get the best candidates, which means you can then in turn get the higher fees, which in turn means you get repeat business, which in turn means you get retained, etc., etc. Now, if you find yourself spinning plates and you're really in a high-paid job, but you've had a plateau, you've been plateauing, you really need to understand this shift to you becoming a business owner. Now, that's easy for me to say. I've been through the pain. Everyone has been through the pain at some points, but that shift is completely true. And that comes by building a team, which, by the way, a 7-figure business usually will be between 2 to 5 people. So it comes from team and it comes from your role. You need to know it needs to change, but you can't do that with the right building blocks in place. And if you're doing things manually, no, that needs to switch to 2 things. 1, automation. So that's done by a tool or a system, and it's done by other people's time, your team. So these are the shifts being strategic. So when you look to the testimonials, for example, on the thank you page for this webinar, and we've got people who've exponentially grown their business, huge. This is why it's possible.